Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's do it. We are in effect. Absolutely, we are. We are in effect. Hold on for 1 second. Sorry. So, we are now down to the final four, right? The final four in this tournament, in the playoffs. We are down to 4 teams. And it's getting good. It's getting real good. What up, Troy? How you doing, brother? It's getting real good. When you get to this point, what up, Dominic? How you doing, brother? When you get to this point, the better teams show themselves. And not only do the better teams show themselves, the better teams, they exploit all your deficiencies. All of them. Everything that's wrong with you, we turn it up. And we turn the volume up tenfold. It's not even a question. No question about it. Now, I said before the series started that I thought that the Celtics Bucks winner wins the Eastern Conference Championship. I still stand on that. Absolutely. And I think that we're dealing with a different Celtic team than we saw in 2020. We're dealing with a different Miami Heat team too, right? We're definitely dealing with a different Miami Heat team. Dejan, what up, brother? DJ, what's going on, brother? Nah, no Marcus Smart, no Al Horford tonight. Both of them out. We're dealing with a different Miami Heat team. We're dealing with a different Boston Celtic team. We're dealing with 2 teams that they are more experienced now. Their vets are better. Their whole layout is better. And because their whole layout is better, I think we're going to get a better series. Jimmy Butler now has to be recognized. I already recognize him, but I think that Jimmy Butler has to be recognized as being one of the better players in the game. No doubt about that. We definitely have to recognize that. No doubt. So when I see these crews, I think that I'm just going to get a really great series between these two. No doubt about that. I'm going to get a great series. Like I said, I stand on the Boston Celtics winning the Eastern Conference. They bounced Milwaukee, so I thought that the Milwaukee-Boston winner wins the Eastern Conference Championship. And I don't think he is, Dejan. No, I don't. I don't think he's a top 10 player, but I do think that he's a number 1 on a championship contender. I do think that. I absolutely believe that. I don't know if he's a top 10 player yet, but I do think that he's a number 1 on a championship contender. So we can have that conversation. We can absolutely have that conversation simply because if I look at the other top 10 players, if we took Jimmy Butler off that unit and we put Kyrie Irving on that unit, do they get to the Eastern Conference Championship? If we took Jimmy Butler off that unit and we put somebody similar to Jimmy Butler on that unit, James Harden, do they get to the Eastern Conference Championship? I don't know. Whenever I hear the narrative of better basketball player, all that is that's dressed up, more talented player. That's all that is. That's a today's version of saying this dude is more talented. That's it. So I try to stay away from that better basketball player logic because I've seen guys who are better basketball players, quote unquote. I've seen guys who are better basketball players get outplayed in a playoff series. I've seen that. And that doesn't mean that that they still better. I mean, Jason Tatum outplayed Kevin Durant. Is Jason Tatum a better player than Kevin Durant? I don't think so. Not yet. I'm not ready to go that far. I'm not ready to go that far. So, and I've seen other guys outplay other guys in championships here. I watched Magic outplay Doc twice. Was he better than Doc at that time? He wasn't, not yet. He was on his way to being better than Doc, absolutely, but not yet. So I do my best to stay away from that better basketball player logic, because better basketball player doesn't really resonate with me, simply because I've seen better basketball players outplayed in a series. That don't mean that person is better. So I'm good. But this playoff series, these playoffs, it's the first time in a long time where there isn't a clear-cut winner. There's the first time in a long time that there hasn't been a clear-cut that I could say, yo, I'm betting on this team to win it. I'm not sure that the Celtics can win it. I felt like the Suns were going back to the NBA championship, but Chris Paul reintroduced himself. Playoff Chris Paul reintroduced himself. And I wasn't surprised. It just came at an inconvenient time. I would have expected that Chris Paul earlier in the playoffs, maybe in the first round, in game 1 or game 2, and then maybe he played himself away from it and he played himself out of it. But to see him play the way he did in those 2 road games, in those 3 road games, and basically let Dallas back into this series, I can't say that I'm disappointed more than I could say. I can't say that I'm disappointed more than I could say I shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be. And I'm soaking in these playoffs, man. I'm absolutely soaking in these playoffs. So now the Boston Celtics, their lead guard, he's out of the lineup. And with their lead guard being out of the lineup, Miami's lead guard is out of the lineup. So that balances out, right? That balances out. So that works. Now losing Harford, your dirty work guy, and Robert Williams is out of the lineup, which, by the way, that injury is worse than what we know. If this was January, he would be out till the playoffs. Kevin Garnett had the same injury in 2009, and he missed the entire playoffs. Had Kevin Garnett been healthy, I think that had Kevin Garnett been healthy, I think they would have won it. It would have at least been back in the finals. So, I mean, a torn meniscus ain't nothing to play with. If Robert Williams is back, why didn't he play in Game 7? Why didn't he play in Game 7? Well, the reason why he didn't play in Game 7 is because he's not fully back. There's a reason why they got him in and out of the lineup, because he's not ready. So, like I said, if this was January, I think he would be out of the lineup for 2 months minimum. Easily 2 months minimum. So let me get to this. So, hold on for a second, guys. Let me get to this. OG, they both lost in the first round last year. How is it a different team from 2020? In fact, OG, who's the number 1 seed? Heat, so improved more than the Celtics. Let me make sure that I'm understanding this. Is Jason Tatum the same guy he was in 2020? That's a yes or no question. It doesn't involve an elaborate answer. Yes or no? Okay, next question. Did Jaylen Brown play last year in the playoffs? Yes or no? That's a yes or no question. It doesn't involve an elaborate answer. Did Jaylen Brown play last year in the playoffs? So, with that being said, right? With that being said, was Jimmy Butler hobbled last year going into the playoffs? Yes or no? Did they? Whoa. I'm not done. I'm going to get to what you're talking about. When they ran into Milwaukee, did they run into a team who they bounced the year before, who was healthy and who was ready for them? And they were overmatched playing them? That's a yes or no question. So, my question to you is, this Boston Celtics team this year, are they the same? Let me ask you this question. This Boston Celtic team, rewind the clock back to 2021. Does that Brooklyn team beat this Boston Celtic team this year? With Kyrie Irving, does that Brooklyn team beat this Boston team? Yes or no? So that Brooklyn team you think beats this Boston, that Brooklyn team last year beats this year's Boston team. That's what you're telling me. Because Keyshawn brought this up, Joseph. Keyshawn is the one who comes with the content, not me. Keyshawn is the one who comes with all the questions. Keyshawn comes with all the content. So let's talk about this. Will that Boston Celtic team this year, the 21-22 team, will they lose in a 7-game series to the 2021 Brooklyn Nets? And what are you basing that on? Okay, so I'm asking you guys. So, because we're going to talk about this, what are we basing them beating that if that Brooklyn team last year with James Harden, who was the way he was, Kyrie Irving was the way he was, Kevin Durant, how he was, what are we basing that on? I'm basing it on I seen what they did to the Bucks with all 3 healthy, and the Celtics win 7 games without Middleton. And remind me who the Milwaukee Bucks are. What did the Milwaukee Bucks do last season? So I'm clear. Tell everybody in here, Keyshawn, what the Milwaukee Bucks did last season. While you're comparing teams, what did the Milwaukee Bucks do last season? So they didn't have their second best player. So without our second best player, we took them to 7 games. Not in the first round, not barely made the playoffs, with our second best player and the best player on the planet and arguably the best perimeter defender in the game. We took this team to 7 games. So with our second best player, what do you think happens in this series? Hey, Jillian dear, how are you? What do you think happens in this series with their second best player? No, Steady, we not. Keyshawn is. Talk to Keyshawn. Don't talk to nobody else in here except Keyshawn. He was the one who brought this up because he's a Kyrie guy, right? He's a Kevin Durant guy. So talk to him. Don't talk to the rest of us. This is about him. I think they serve Boston in 5 games, Jillian. I don't think that this goes past 6 games if Middleton is healthy. I think they serve them. I said that if Kyrie Irving was healthy, that Brooklyn mops Milwaukee. I said that. We might have to roll the tape. We might have to go back and roll the tape. Because I don't know if I said that. I'm not sure that I said that. No, they wasn't, Lance. Knock it off. No, they were not. They got the best player on the planet, you troll. That's exactly the name that you should have, Lance. You a troll. No, they weren't overrated. Number one, they got the best player on the planet. So you're not overrated when you got the best player on the planet. That's nonsense to even say something like that. That's nuts. That is nuts. So who is healthy? So Lance, who is healthy in the playoffs? You think so? What's going on with Boston? Is Boston healthy? So if the Heat beat them, are you gonna say the same thing? Right? Are you gonna say the same things about the Miami Heat if they beat them? Because they got guys in and out of the lineup. Are you gonna say the same thing about them? How about the Golden State Warriors? Gary Payton broke his elbow. You don't think he's an integral part of what they're doing? So if Dallas beats them, are you going to say the same thing about them? My point in me saying that is when you get to this stretch, every team is banged up. Not some teams, not most teams. Every team is banged up. Every team is banged up. So I can't listen to the being healthy is a part of winning. That's a part of it. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. That's a part of it. So to answer your question, I said this already, Uncle Huz. I said this already. I think that the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtic winner wins the Eastern Conference Championship. And I stand on that. I absolutely stand on that. So being good ain't good enough. And I'm not going to discredit a unit because you couldn't hold up. That is not something that I even entertain. Like, I don't listen to anybody that tells me, well, one of the reasons why Cleveland beat the Warriors in 2016, Steph Curry was hurt. That going one end right out the other. I'm not listening to that. Because that means that every championship, we have to at least re-examine it because everybody wasn't healthy. Everybody wasn't healthy. So we got to re-examine everyone. Every last one of them. So we're going to find out. We absolutely going to find out about the Boston Celtics. Yes, we are. We're going to find out. I think the Celtics and the Warriors are in the NBA championship. That's a fact. That's not your opinion. That's a fact. If I can't count on you to be here, then I can't count on you at all. That's just the way that works. That's absolutely the way that works. And if I had to guess off the top of my head, are you a Brooklyn fan? LOL. Are you a Brooklyn fan? If I'm understanding this correctly, are you a Brooklyn fan? That's what I figured. So, like in my comments, oh, you're a Heat fan. Okay, so like I said, I think that the Celtics, I think they got the best team in the Eastern Conference. I like what I'm seeing from Boston. I think the Heat are deeper. I think they got a deeper team. I think the Celtics are more balanced offensively. I think the Celtics are better defensively when they have everybody in the fold. I think they're better defensively. And I think that this series is going to be a 6-7 game series, but I think Boston pulls it out. I think that it's going to take a gigantic effort from Jimmy Butler, which I think he could do. He's already proven that I can get my team to the NBA Finals. He's already proven that. This isn't something that I think is a fluke. No, Jimmy Butler has already proven I can get us there. I will throw the crew on my back and I can get us there. So LOL, let me ask you this question. Since we're on this subject, does the series start tonight? Yes or no? That's my question to you, LOL. Does the series start tonight? Yes or no? So the series starts tonight. Is that correct? I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. So the series starts tonight. Does the series end tonight? So the winner of this game, do they go on to the NBA Finals? Okay, so with that being said, is Horford out for the entire series? How about Marcus Smart? Is he out for the entire series? Right, so if we're not going to lose these guys for the entire series, right? If we're not going to lose these guys for the entire series, then that means we don't know who's going to win this thing. We have no idea. One game can absolutely change a lot. Yes, it can. I was actually thinking about, it's interesting you mentioned that, Jillian, because it was just today that I was online. I think, is it Thursday or Friday? That's game 2. I think Friday is game 2. And I was online. I didn't get a chance to look too much, but I'm looking at either game 2 or game 5. I'm looking at one of those 2 games. Absolutely. I'm looking at one of those 2 games that I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in seeing. I'm really interested in going. That is huge, Midas. That's 2 of your main cogs. Did he have to take both of these games? Well, y'all already know how I feel about. Y'all already know how so it is Thursday. Okay. Y'all already know how I feel about home floor. I know that a lot of people think that home floor matters, and in some situations it does. But I'm a firm believer in the notion that if I'm better than you, if you better than me, you should be able to beat me anyway. Don't make a difference where we at. It does not. If you better than me, you should be able to, it doesn't matter where we are, you should be able to beat me. If you are better than me. That doesn't matter. That does not matter. So this series is going to come down to exactly what I saw in that Milwaukee series. Those other guys stepping up. Somebody different stepping up. Because I already know what I'm going to get out of Jason Tatum. I already know that, right? If Jaylen Brown can be consistent, my 2 best offensive players can be consistent, I already know what I'm going to get out of them. Same thing, I know what I'm going to get out of Jimmy Butler. What am I going to get out of Bam? I already know what I'm going to get out of this Miami Heat team defensively. I'm going to get a lot of switching. I'm going to get a lot of blitzing. I'm going to get a lot of drop coverage. I'm going to get a lot of that stuff. But I'm also going to get a lot of one-on-one action. I'm going to get a lot of double teams, particularly in places like the soft corner, particularly in places like the deep corner. I'm going to get a lot of double teams. And I'm interested to see how Boston adjusts to that in the coaching job that Udoka does. I'm real interested to see that. You see Jason Tatum getting locked up by Butler. I could get behind that if you said I see the Boston Celtics or I see the Miami Heat locking up Jason Tatum. I can't get behind Jimmy Butler shutting down Jason Tatum. Nah. Nope. I can't get behind that. I can get behind their crew where they're switching with Jimmy Butler and PJ Brown and Bam, where they're blitzing him when he gets in a pick and roll and making him do things that he's uncomfortable. I could get behind that. I can't get behind Jimmy Butler slowing him down one-on-one. Nope. I can't get behind that. I cannot get behind that. So, did I say PJ Brown? I'm sorry. I meant PJ Tucker. I don't know how I said PJ Brown. I apologize. I was watching that Golden State Dallas here, that Dallas Phoenix series, and I'm just looking at a crew that looked like they were better. They just looked like they were better. Not only did they look like they were better, I'm really looking at this crew thinking to myself, damn, man, can Dallas really win the NBA championship? Now, Dallas was one of the better defensive teams in the game for quite some time during the season. They were one of the better defensive teams in the game. And I can't fight that. And Luka is one of the better offensive players in the game. And I will not fight that. But I'm having a difficult time seeing them against this vet unit, yo. I just am. And I know how good Luka is. I know how good Luka is. But the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks, they play very similar, where Dallas is going to spread you out. If you got a big, like what Utah had, like what Phoenix had, they're going to spread you out, and they're going to get behind that long ball line. Well, Golden State play like that too. Not only does Golden State play like that, Golden State plays like that with a lot of action off the basketball. They don't have one guy holding on to the ball. They do not. And when you got action off the basketball, you got a problem defensively. Because eventually we're going to crack you. Because we're going to get you off balance. Absolutely we are. So I'm having a difficult time picking against that Warriors team simply because of the vets that they got. I felt the same way about them in Memphis. I think that they got a good enough team where they could keep it close, and our vets will pull it out at the end. Our vets are going to pull it out at the end. There is no possibility of Braun to Brooklyn. No. Mm-mm. That's not something that I think is a possibility at all. No way. Marshall, who's going to guard Luka? Everybody's going to guard Luka. Draymond, in fact, Draymond is going to be primarily covered to Luka. And why is he going to be primarily covered to Luka? Because they don't have a big that's legit on the box. They don't have that. So Draymond Green can focus all of his energy on Luka. Now, is he going to slow them? Is he going to be able to slow Luka down? We're going to find out. We're definitely going to find out. And we're going to find out particularly because I don't think we're going to get a lot of switches. See, what Dallas did was Dallas did their best to get Luka in pick and switch with guys like Ayton, right? With guys like Ayton, with guys like Chris Paul, right? With guys like JaVale McGee. They did a good job in getting that going. The Golden State Warriors are not going to get into switches. And the reason why we're not going to have to switch, particularly on Luka, because they don't have a big guy back there that we have to deal with. Like we had to deal with Joker. They don't have nobody back there like that. They don't have nobody like Jaren Jackson Jr. So because they don't have nobody like that, I can focus all my energy on Luka as a primary defender. Now, they're going to have to help him, but I can focus a lot of my energy on that. Absolutely. Now, with that also being said, to add to your point, Charlie, you're talking about who's going to guard Luka. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks got their hands full with both Steph and Clay, who didn't have great shooting who didn't have a great shooting series against Memphis. And the reason why is because those guys did a really good job at chasing Clay and Steph off the long ball line. They did a really good job at that. So, From Italy. Nice. Italy is in the house. What's up, Mateo? How you doing, brother? So, Hester, if you're going to say that, I can say the same thing to you, that Brunson and Dinwiddie tag team and Steph and Clay, pause. I can say the same thing to you. The exact same thing to you. That's not going to work. So when you get into series like this, when you get into the Western Conference Championship, when you get into the Eastern Conference Championship, the better players, they show up. They don't lay eggs. So I expect Luka to be Luka, right? I expect Curry, even though Curry is getting a little long in the tooth. He hasn't been playing well this season, and he's getting some miles on him. But I still expect Curry to have those games. I absolutely do. I expect Jordan Poole to give them good minutes. I expect him to give them great minutes. So who's going to be the difference in Dallas? I think Jason Kidd's adjustments are going to be really, I think that they're going to be really crucial in what they're doing. Huge. Mm-hmm. Who's mid at best, Jack? Who are you talking about? I think it could. I think it will be, Charlie. I think it will be. And I could see Jason Kidd going into a matchup zone and pushing those guys further away from the basket and making them play downhill, which is what they don't want to do. I could see him doing that. And the reason why I could see him doing that is because, once again, Dallas doesn't have a dominant big. But I could also see Jason Kidd countering that by putting Powell in the middle of that matchup zone and having him go to work, where we could get Luka to be more of a playmaker and get Powell in rim runs and in rim dives. I could absolutely see that happening. What is a bronze sexual, Adam? So I'm clear. 1 second, Jillian. 1 second, Jillian. What is a bronze sexual is actually, Adam? So I'm clear. Is he? Okay. Then I'm going to let you handle it, Jillian. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm going to let you do your job. I apologize. Mm-hmm. Have we ever seen a coach of the year lose in the second round? Absolutely, we did. Did I'm not rewind the clock back to 2018? Did LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavs not mop Toronto out the second round? Swept them boys out the playoffs. Swept them. Dwayne Casey was coach of the year. Swept them boys out the playoffs. Bye. And that would be Charles. That would be Charles Cheese. That's a fact. Charles Cheese, the only hater in the house. Charles Cheese is the only hater in the house. No doubt. So Sage, I got a question for you, Sage. Have you ever been in any of my lives? Is it Sage or is it Sage? Have you ever been in any of my lives? I'm just wondering. I think they can. Okay, so would you classify me as a bronze sexual? Because it sounds like I've gotten some clarity on what a bronze sexual is. So would you classify me as a bronze sexual? Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding that. So I just want to understand. So I had to get some clarity on what a bronze sexual is, and now I know. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to this Eastern Conference, Western Conference Championship Series. And I haven't seen, and the reason why I'm looking forward to it is because there is no clear-cut favorite. Like I said, I thought that the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics winner wins the Eastern Conference Championship, and I'm sticking with Boston. But I don't feel as confident as I did last year when I saw Milwaukee go up against Atlanta. I don't feel as confident as I did 2 years ago when I saw Miami and Boston. I didn't think Boston was ready. I didn't feel as confident then, and I don't feel as confident now. But I think that the Boston Celtics are on their way. I absolutely believe that. So we know, Zay. Yep. I have not listened to the new Kendrick album, sir. Mm-hmm. Jack, you don't know that. Jack, you do not know that. You don't know if Kobe Bryant, if he didn't play for the Lakers, that he would have 0 rings. You don't know that. You don't know what kind of player that he would have turned into. You don't know that. You have no idea. None whatsoever. I do, Spoo. I want to talk to my man, Gloomy Roomy. Gloomy, what about the Mavs? Because this is what I want to make sure that I'm clear on. What about the Mavs suggested to me that I should think that they were going to be this good this year? What about them? They had lost the last two of the last 3 years. They had lost in the first round of the playoffs. 2 of the last 3 years, they were a middle of the road team. They were a month before the playoffs started. They were in a month before the playoffs started. They were in the fives. They were in that 4, 5, 6 range. So that's a middle of the road playoff team. So what about them would have given me the idea that I should be invested in this Dallas Maverick team? Nobody said that they were scrubs, Gloomy. I didn't say that they were scrubs. Once again, what about them? So the fact that they went 7 games with the Clippers, that suggested that the next year that they were going to the Western Conference Championship, even though they were in the same position that they were in when they played the Clippers. Well, that's not true. When they played the Clippers, they was the 6th seed, and they were teetering around that throughout the season. So they did end up in the 4th spot, but they were teetering around the 4, 5, 6 spot. So they were still a middle of the road team. So them going 7 games with the Clippers should have suggested to me that the Dallas Mavericks are a championship contender. That's what I should have seen that I did not see from them, even though they don't have a legit number 2 guy. Okay. I tell you what, JB, I won't even go, they went up 2-1 without Luka. When they went back to Salt Lake City, tied 1-1, I was like, this series is over. In my head, I'm thinking this series is over because they absolutely could not come back to Salt Lake with Luka being out of the lineup. Just like Miami couldn't go back to Philadelphia, couldn't go up to Philadelphia, tied 1-1 with Embiid out of the lineup. You had to take both of those games. You had to. You had to. And the fact that they didn't spoke volumes about how wrong I was about that team. About how wrong I was about that team. Well, Spoo, before Leonard got hurt last year in the playoffs, I had them in the finals. I thought that the Jazz Clippers winner wins the NBA, goes to the NBA finals. That's how I felt about them. Before Leonard got hurt, I'm like that. I'm thinking the Jazz Clippers winner was in the NBA finals. And I thought that's what was going to happen. Now, depending on how Leonard comes back this season, because remember, he missed the whole season. So I don't expect him to be razor sharp next year. He missed an entire season. So this isn't a situation where we got a guy who missed a couple of games or maybe missed a month. And now we can basically get right back on schedule. No, this dude missed an entire season. So with him missing an entire season, he's got to get acclimated to what the game is again. We also got to concern ourselves with him being able to play at a high level and him being healthy. If we can get that, I think that the Clippers are right. But same thing with Paul George. He got hurt this season. So Steady, you know how I feel about Luka and Rudy. I'm campaigning for that. Even though I know Utah is not handing over Rudy to Dallas. I would love Rudy in that. Rudy is a 20-10 guy with Luka. I'm saying it. In Dallas, Rudy is a 20-10 guy. I stand on that. I'm 100% confident that Rudy Gobert in Dallas, he's a 20-10 guy. No doubt. And he's an all-league defender. It does. And I think that's the problem. I won't go as far as 25-10, Justin, but I will say I think he's a 20-10 guy. I stand on that. I absolutely do. Of course you disagree, 5,000, because you see him with Donovan Mitchell and the fact that he doesn't touch the basketball nearly as much as he should. How many times they miss him in pick and dives. How many times they miss him wide open, and how Luka would find him. How Luka would absolutely implement him and include him in the offense. How much better he would be with Luka. Why? Because Luka is a Euro, and that's how they play. And they would absolutely get on the same page. And by the way, a quick side note, you Brooklyn Nets fans, y'all starting to make me believe that you dudes are like Cowboy fans. That's what y'all starting to sound like. And it's really getting aggravating. It is. It's really getting aggravating with you Brooklyn fans, yo. Y'all starting to sound like Cowboy fans. We winning it next year. Y'all really starting to get on my nerves, man. I swear you guys are. Y'all starting to make me nuts. I swear. I'm just 5,000. I'm just looking at the playmaker that Rudy is and the distributor that he is, right? Javier, what up? BT in the house. No doubt about that. BT is in the house. I'm looking at the playmaker that he is, the distributor that he is, right? And how he gets other guys involved and how he would just implement Rudy and how much happier Rudy would be to rebound for him, to rim protect for him, to rim run for him. Oh, man. He didn't say that Dame was a great defender. He didn't say that. Wait a minute. He didn't say that Dame was a great defender. What he said was they wouldn't lose much with Dame in Milwaukee. I'm sorry, with Dame in Miami or Dame in Milwaukee defensively. They wouldn't lose much. And I'm thinking, what? That's nuts to say that. No way you can stand on that right there. Well, Kent, let me ask you this question. What kind of skill set would Rudy need? Because it ain't like we dumping the ball into him and asking him to go to work on a guy. Rudy is a rim runner. He's a pick and dive, and he's a pick and pop guy, right? Pick and pop and pick and dive guy. So that's all we asking him to do. We ain't throwing the ball into him like we doing Joker. We're not throwing the ball at him like we doing the Embiid. We're not doing that. And nobody is saying that we doing that. Nobody. So with him being the rim runner that he is, with him being the pick and dive guy that he is, with him being the lob threat that he is. I mean, I watched James Harden turn Clint Capella into a 15-a-game guy. So, I think Luka is a better playmaker than James Harden. And if he's not a better playmaker, I think he's just as good. So, if Luka would have played with Rudy, how much better would he be? Absolutely. Marshall, have you ever seen? So you've never seen Rudy catch lobs, Marshall? Is that what you're saying? Is that, in fact, didn't they win Game 5 with Rudy catching a lob dunk? Did that not happen, or am I bugging out? I just want to make sure that I'm not going crazy. Did that not happen? Well, Luke, what happened with Porzingis was his health. Not only was it his health, his role wasn't defined. They were still trying to figure out who was the guy on that unit. And in the process of trying to figure that out, they were losing. Porzingis was actually stymied about, what exactly do you guys have me doing here? What exactly am I doing here? So, it was a big problem. No doubt, 5,000. I appreciate you, brother. What happens on draft night, and I've told people about this, 5,000, in previous lives. On draft night, I'm trading Julius Randle, and I'm building this unit around RJ Barrett. He's my franchise player. I am building this unit around him. I'm looking to move Obi Toppin because I don't think he works on his game. I think he's an energy guy, but I don't know how much of an energy guy he is. He reminds me of Kenny Skywalker. I don't really see what the ceiling is with him. But on draft night, I'm taking all phone calls for Julius Randle, and I'm seeing if I can get some draft picks, and I'm seeing if I can get some ones because I'm building this unit around RJ Barrett. No doubt. But back to Porzingis, his role was never defined. 1 minute he's on the perimeter, the next minute he's on the box, the next 1 minute he's on the box, and then he's playing in the high. It couldn't get figured out what exactly it was we were doing with him. And because you couldn't get it figured out what you were doing with him, these guys were kind of like bumping into each other, and it just didn't work. Well, Ken, I think Obi could be a good piece if he stuck to what worked. Obi is an energy guy. I think he could be a really good D&3 guy and a great transition player. When I see Obi, he kind of gives me like Sean Marion vibes. But I don't think he sees himself like that. I think he sees himself more than that. When in fact, like Sean Marion was really good, but he was good in a really good system. So if the Knicks could get themselves a transition point guard that could speed the game up, I think that would make them a lot better. A lot better. Would I trade Westbrook to the Knicks? Yeah. If I could get a one from him, I would do that. Yeah, absolutely. If I could get 2 ones for him, yeah, I would absolutely do that. And I think you could talk the Knicks into doing that. The Knicks are, you know that chick that, you gotta nudge her a little bit, but if you nudge her, she'll do it. That's who the Knicks are. They're the Knicks are that chick that you can do it. Go ahead. And they'll, even as ridiculous as it sounds, they'll do it. You just got to talk to them a little bit and just give them a little nudge. They'll do it. Absolutely, they will. I don't understand why. And and the reason why I'm the only one is because Rudy reminds me of he reminds me of the traditional big. He does. He absolutely reminds me of that. So I really dig that about him. I dig that about him as a rim protector. I dig that about him as a rim runner. I just dig that about Rudy. Absolutely, I do. So I just think that he's been used wrong. DeAndre Ayton to the Brooklyn Nets. Well, we are aware, guys, that DeAndre Ayton, he's a restricted free agent. So because he's a restricted free agent, Phoenix can match any offer that any team throws out at him, which is actually good. And the reason why it's good is because they don't have to overpay for him. They don't have to overpay for him. So that would work for them. Here's the thing, though. There's no reason to sign and trade Ayton. Because if you're going to sign him, you might as well keep him. I'm not paying him, or I'm not paying somebody else all of that dough that isn't as good as Ayton. When we're talking about a 23-year-old who's, 18 and 10? That's not walking out of my front door. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Ayton and Zach LaVine with Dame, I think that they make some noise in the West. I do. I absolutely think they make some noise in the West. I like that. I absolutely do. I don't like Luka and Zion. I don't. I wish I could say I like Luka and Zion. I don't like. I actually like Zion in New Orleans. I like them building that unit around him. And when I think about Zion in terms of health, like if I could get, I don't know, if I could get like 5 good years out of him, because we already, what are we in, year 3? All right, so we in year 3. If I could get 5 good years out of him, right? If I could get 5 good years out of him and trade him when he still got something, that says a lot for New Orleans. Because the question that needs to be answered with New Orleans is, what are the realistic expectations for you guys? Because, so we clear, guys, everybody's not going to win it. That's not realistic. Everybody is not winning it. So what are realistic expectations? Now, if you have a piece where you might have an opportunity to win it, that's different. Does New Orleans have an opportunity to win it with Zion and Brandon Ingram and CJ? I think that they have an opportunity to make some noise in the playoffs. I don't know if that's a championship team. I don't know. I'm not sure. But if I could get 5 seasons, maybe 6 seasons out of him, where he's vaguely injured, where I can get 65 to 70 games a season plus the playoffs from him, man. Yes, people still expect things from Zion. Sauce. He was 26-6 last year. You over him that quick? After 1 season, he was 26-6 last year on 60% shooting and made the All-Star team. The dude, I think he's 22. You think he's over? You think he's done? Wow, I'm not ready to go that far, my man. No, I am not ready to go that far. I'm not ready to go that far on a kid who Just barely came into the league. Because remember, guys, Joel Embiid missed his first 2 seasons. He didn't miss season 1. He missed season 2, too. Primarily because of foot injury. He sat out the entire season. Ben Simmons missed his first season. Now, remember, Ben Simmons, who, we've seen some different things from him, and now we're questioning whether or not he's got the love for the game, and we're questioning his commitment. Ben Simmons did make the All-NBA team. Ben Simmons did make the All-League defensive team. Ben Simmons was an all-star. So these guys who turned into something, they had seasons where they sat out completely and did nothing. So I'm not ready to write him off yet. No, not yet, man. Think about that for a second, not cursed. 20 years old. He's a kid. He can't even go into a bar yet. 27-7 or 60% from the floor, and you ready to dump him. I'm not ready to do that yet, man. Nah, not yet. I am not ready to do that. No way. What are the Celtics missing offensively? Nothing. I don't think that they're missing anything offensively. I think it's just a matter of them maturing. That's all it is. I think they got their franchise player in Jason Tatum. I think they got their number 2 in Jaylen Brown. I'm not, and I get roasted for this, but I'm not a huge Marcus Smart guy. But I understand how necessary he is. I don't think he's better than Drew Holiday, but I understand how necessary he is. I do think that they could upgrade at the point guard spot. I do think that they could get somebody better suited for them, but he does so much for them defensively that it works. So offensively, him being a distributor and being a D&3 guy and being heady, I think that he works for them. He's real gimmicky, so that kind of turns me off to him a little bit. But offensively, when I look at this Boston Celtic team, transition, they shoot the long ball with the best of them. When Jason Tatum figures out that in-between game, forget it, man. He's going to be impossible. Jaylen Brown, when he gets more consistent, and they got Derek White coming off the bench with Pritchard coming off the bench. I think that offensively, I do think that they need to upgrade that bench. I will tell you that. They do need to upgrade the bench. But offensively, I don't really see a lot of holes with Boston. I don't. Did I say that Luka wasn't a superstar, Jack? And why is it that do I finally see him as that? You guys want to anoint these guys great in such a short period of time, man. Luka is in year 4. This guy is 22 years old. Do you guys remember last year you were telling me, or not telling me, last year you guys were equating Devin Booker, you were having him in the same conversation with Kobe Bryant. You were putting Devin Booker in the same conversation with Kobe Bryant. And Devin Booker is in year 6, going into year 7. So to anoint Luka as that guy in year 4? Damn. Man. And next year, if they don't get out of the first round, with the same group, by the way, because remember, something similar happened in Dallas. But I'm just not ready to anoint these guys that when they haven't really proven what a superstar is. Like LeBron James was a superstar. Kobe Bryant was a superstar. Shaq was a superstar. Allen Iverson was a superstar. Olajuwon's a superstar. Duncan's a superstar. These guys are superstars. I think Luka, I think he's elite. But what entails a superstar? A superstar is a guy who He embodies everything that we're doing as a franchise, and he throws us on his back. He takes us there. He takes us there. So I'm just not ready to anoint him as that yet. But I think Luka is absolutely elite. I think he's a top 10 player in the game, no question about it. So before we go any further, because I'm about to shake the spot, Keyshawn, because my man Keyshawn, a lot of times when he talks with stuff that it's nuts. So Keyshawn, I would like for you to give me the logic that why Allen Iverson was not a superstar. Tell everybody in the room why you don't think Allen Iverson was ever a superstar. I'm all ears. Better player and superstar doesn't mean the same thing, man. It doesn't. It does not mean the same thing. I didn't say better player. We're talking about a superstar. That's what we're talking about right now. What up, Crazy? How you doing, brother? Better player and superstar is not the same thing. So, no. Steven, you're not going to get me. You're definitely not going to get me to say that. Mr. Taylor, absolutely. There's no way you're going to get me to debate that. No way. It's at halftime. Well, the draft lottery is at halftime of the game, so I'm absolutely going to check that out, no doubt. So, game's at 8:30 tonight. It's going to be really good. It's about that time for me. We're going to do it again real soon. Playoff basketball, baby. It's good to see you guys. Y'all know where to find me at. I'll see you soon. So until then, take it light, but take it.